Okay, hello and welcome to my another stream. Today I'm going to be coloring this picture by Keenan White. It's Dawn Craven and Lady Alchemy. And I don't know the color schemes off the top of my head. I looked, so I'm gonna try to remember them, but I'm not sure if I'll get them right without looking. So, whatever. Welcome back to my clicking. ASMR clicking. And I forgot to do any other extra setup for this, so I'm gonna have to pause that. But whatever. But, do I get done selecting, I'll create the new layers. Not a big deal. I just usually like to do that before I start. Start with selecting, I mean. Duplicate. Multiply. Turn that off. Over here. Wish I knew how to zoom around the page so I wouldn't have to keep on slowly scrolling every few minutes. It's kind of annoying. If anyone's curious, this is probably a bad guide to how to flat because I try to get the color as close to what I'm going to use. Whereas flatter doesn't really matter what color you use. And also, because I'm also coloring it rather than just flatting it, I often start coloring it beforehand rather than just flatting it with certain effects. I don't actually know how that's handled by real flatters, so wish I did know, because that's one of the reasons I don't go out for trying to get flatting jobs. I don't know how that's handled. There isn't really a place to go and ask either, which is a problem. But whatever, I'll learn one day probably. Ah, fuck me. Sorry about that. Stupid phone calls. Oh, at least it's not that I have to restart selecting again. let's see, what did we hit or miss? I know somewhere in here I made a mistake. It is. This hair is gonna be a pain.
Greetings.
Hello.
What's going on? I
Nothing
see
much.
you're drawing.
Nothing much. I'm just coloring Cannon White's uh, warm-up
Greetings.
sketch that he posted. Who's this?
It's George.
Well, which George? George.
Gatsis. George Peter Gatsis. The furry blue guy, Joe King
Joe
guy.
King. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I also
might as
put
well do
the
that.
thing.
Might as well keep telling people Joe King guy.
Yeah. I also put the other George in there. George Alexopoulos, I think.
Yeah, all Greek guys are George or Nick.
Yeah, that's part of why I don't go by my real name. It's like there's already 5,000 Matts out there, so.
So tell me more about what you're doing. I'm looking at the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm just flatting right now. It takes a long time and it's a lot of clicking. I figured that I'm gonna be doing this anyways, since I'm using it sort of like as a way of if someone likes it and retweets it, I also put a link to my Indiegogo campaign on it, and that
So
automatically like advertises for me.
so what is this technique you speak of?
What do you mean? The advertising technique or the flatting thing?
The flatting.
Flatting is just well, you got colors and then you got but before you do what is called coloring is you have to, which is generally considered rendering. You have to put the base colors on there so you can select it. But I do it a little bit differently because I'm going to be rendering it too. Uh,
So what is it that you're doing right now? Is it you're selecting areas or something?
yeah, once you have to go around and select the places where it's colored out, and then you apply the color, the flat color, and you slowly what's the way that they explained it? You're sort of like breaking it into pieces. Like right now, I'm just selecting everything because I'm at the first level. But as you go on, you dissect it more and more into like different parts where it's different colors and stuff like that.
Could you zoom out so we can have a look at the overview?
Yep, give me a second. Uh, that's another problem with this. You got to do it really up close, so you have to have all the so it's under the black lines. That's his inks right now. It's at 44%. See, all of this is so far selected right now. I'm also gonna have to select all of her, and then once that's done, I'm gonna separate the two of them into two different selections.
Ah, I see what's going on.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what's the resolution on this overall page?
With this it's 72 because it's taken off of Twitter. I didn't ask for him to send me a high resolution thing because this is just for practicing and play and all like that. And lower resolution is probably better for me because all the errors that I make is exposed more. And that way I can see it. Higher resolution, when you shrink it down or whatever, it hides a bunch of the errors that you make.
Ah, that's interesting. So this is not part of the comic book that you got on Indiegogo.
No, this is just I'm coloring it, so might as well stream it. Yeah, the comic on there is the Veil War. I'm not. There's too many things in there that I'm not good enough to color yet, so if I do get it colored, I'm going to have someone else color it.
You could try your hand at doing one page and then comparing it against, an actual colorist who or a guy who does coloring.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have
And
the
if
I have like 14 pages done of colored. It's just that there are some things that I haven't gotten around to, which is like water and uh, nature and like large crowds are harder to color.
Oh, gee whiz. Water is simple. Just find yourself actual water reference, skew it in perspective, drop it in,
I could do that.
and posterize it a little to match it up with the rest of the artwork, and then just go in and do a little, just hand painting to give it that, part of the artwork feeling.
Yeah, I could do that. I don't know. Sometimes I like to do that. Sometimes I just like to have it all like. It's harder to match the art style against something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
It's like I have several pages of other people that have colored stuff, and I'm just like, I could use that, but then all the art doesn't really, all the colors don't match each other. So it's just easier to have, well, easier and probably like a better quality product to have someone else color it. So how about your project? How's it coming along?
What's that?
How about your project? How's it coming along?
I got three people, and I'm at 60% of the funding. Now I just have to convince another two or three people, and I'm at 100% of my funding. Woohoo!
Oh, what's your goal? Is I forget.
$500.
Oh. Yeah, that's not bad. I don't know how you're doing that, but are you doing it all? Are you just
Digital.
getting paying for the printing or what?
Oh, no, it's all digital.
Oh,
High quality. The books are printed high quality digital. The cost of the tier covers the shipping plus the printing. It it all works. The numbers work.
uh,
I don't have to. From my point of view, I don't have to stress out myself and actually carry inventory.
oh. So you're doing? Are you doing the print on demand?
That's right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. I don't know. Some
Yeah,
people, I look at their project, I'm like, I have no idea how you're making those numbers work.
yeah. You also have to know um, the weight of your product. It's very important because I know to the gram how much my box weighs. I know how much the comic book weighs. And it's two variations: the 32 pager or the 96 pager. I know how much the what do you call it, the bubble wrap in the box weighs. So when I take it to ship it to anybody anywhere worldwide, I know exactly how much the Canada Post is going to charge, and that's very very important. So that way I don't blow the budget at all, and that's why
Yes.
I'm able to do it as print on demand. I know that when someone's ordering a particular tier, the weight of the product has already been calculated for the shipping as well. So and plus, uh, to offset the cost of the shipping, which ranges anywhere between 25 and 35 bucks. I also offer for every order an original sketch, and since the people who are gonna support me, right away, I offer them 5 sketches. So, You know, it's an incentive to say, you know what, yeah, sure. You know, the cost of the shipping plus the book plus 5 sketches. You know, that's a good deal.
Yeah, that's an awesome deal. Even to get like an artist to do a commission, it usually costs like $5-10 to do anything. So,
Oh,
uh,
gee, nah, more than that, like $100.
no, I
You
mean
see,
at like minimum, it's
oh,
that's the
minimum.
yeah. Usually, I can probably find something decent for like $20, but I'd say the average is more like around 40 to or higher than that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and for pages, you're looking at a minimum of like $100 per page.
Oh, yeah. No, the artwork, the original artwork is a full page. It's not like, you know, something small.
Yeah, I don't have. I'm not the artist of this, so I can't offer that, and I don't know the artist. I was like, uh, I look at
Ah,
my
you know,
stuff and I'm like, I
get
can't
the
do that
ah,
stuff.
you know what you know what you do? Get the artist drunk, put him in a compromising position with you know, a cereal box or something, and then just blackmail him. Wait, did I say that? Did I say that out loud
No,
to
no,
the rest
not at
of the world?
all.
uh,
So what's up with that 96 page and 36 page thing that you got going on?
oh, I did the story. It was it's you know, like a movie. When the director cuts his first edit on the movie, and it's like 4 hours long, right? Or 6 hours if you watched This Is Spinal Tap,
Yeah.
and 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 you know, they go through the process of editing to get it down for pacing and action and, you know, all that stuff, and it comes down to like a 2 hour or an hour and a half. Same scenario.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So you have the original edit, and then you just kind
Yeah.
of cut everything out that wasn't really, well, not to say not needed, but
Well, I just said, ah, geez, you know what? I'm talking too much here, or, you know, I'm getting long-winded here. The story, you know, it's slowing down the story and stuff like that. And so I decided to, you know, go down to the 32 page. You know, if people want the fast pace, you know, meat and potatoes of the story, you know, 32 pages. But if they want the extended edition, it's the 96 page. But I'm offering the 96 page for the cost of for two 32 page books. So
that's
they're actually getting, you know, the 96 page is actually at 66% of the cost of its cost.
that's cool. So I take it you're more the artist
Oh,
type because as a writer, I hear that what you're doing, and I'm sort of horrified because I'm like, that costs money, that costs money.
no, no, I'm doing everything. I'm doing the art, the writing, the whole enchilada. The penciling, uh, the coloring.
Yeah, but what you're saying that you did with the editing it down, I'm like, that's what you do when you write. Like initially.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, that's actually kind of accurate. Yeah, um, that's exactly what I did. Exactly. I actually, um, but for me is, since I'm doing all the, you know, I'm doing it all. I wrote as I drew.
And it doesn't cost you anything. You got the benefit of being able to do what you're doing now too. And if it gets really popular and successful and famous and all like that, you can go, well, here's part of the uh, original artwork for it, even though it wasn't part of it, or kind of
Yeah.
conceptualizing it all like that.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's exactly right. And the, you know, the interesting thing in that little exercise is that when I sat back and said, you know what, started being my own harsh critic, and go, okay, does this really need to be in there? Does that really need to be in there? Does he have to really say all that dialogue? You know, if I cut a little dialogue here, I got a little more space here on the page. I can shift something around and add an extra panel of action.
Are you more of
That
a riffer or a planner, or what they're called in writing terms, it's called a pantser, where you don't really have anything in mind, but well, you have a basic idea of where you want things to go, and then you just like sort of go straight through writing it from like beginning to end, and you don't really have the ending plotted out yet.
Oh no, I knew what the ending was. It's just when I sat back and actually um, did the artwork, it's like I was thinking, okay, you know, it was like I was doing a George Lucas on it before I even had a chance to do a George Lucas on it. You know, George Lucas did Star Wars, then he went back and he said, you know what, I'm gonna rework it all and you know add more scenes and cut stuff out and you know piss off the fans. Well, I'm doing that already before they even know. You
What's
mean
it?
I could have had this? Oh my God!
Well, I assume all the stuff that you have in there on the what is it, 96 pages?
Yeah.
Is that all? That's all still canon with your story, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, but there's just so much, so much. I had like um, one page gags that you know go, oh man, it would have been so awesome, but you know, the one page gag just cuts out away from the rest of the story. Like you know, there's a one page where the characters are trying to find parking, so they're circling the planet Earth a couple of times to find good parking spot.
And people have all had that experience.
Yeah, totally.
So
And
it's a group of characters that are your heroes, right?
yeah, yeah, it's a large it's an ensemble cast. It's like my thing is like Star Trek and Orville,
Yeah.
but mix it in with the say the Avengers or um, or Justice League kind of thing. Not Green Lantern Corps or what's it called, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more like just superheroes with a Star Trek Orville twist.
Yeah, you usually with those type of shows you have like sort of a main character, but they're not the main character. There's focus on other characters as well.
Oh yeah,
Whereas with whatchamacallit, the other two, they're sort of like everyone's the main character and you have to spread the time evenly. It's uh or you do the exact opposite and there's only one main character and you have to you don't get to find out what you want of the other ones. In other words, the Orville Star Trek type stuff is usually perfectly balanced between having too much attention or having too little attention on any one character.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly. And the situation from my point of view is that um, every time I move from one page to the other, I ask myself, okay, so who's the featured character in this particular page? And it would just continue that way. So at the end of the whole thing, it's like, oh, okay, so you know, one character had a featured page on this page, another character was featured more prominently on that page. So you're bouncing around, and I really didn't notice it because I really don't design my books on per page basis. I do the work on a per panel basis.
Uh,
So
I've
I would,
heard people do that. I don't understand how they do that. I like doing it every 2 pages because basically you have to have a setup and a not a climax a set up a hook at the end, and then the next page gives you the uh, the answer to whatever the hook is. That's usually
Hey,
how I do it.
let me ask you this: how are you drawing this stuff? Are you on some sort of tablet or screen, or Wacom screen tablet, or is it what? You know, is it like a what do you call it?
Oh, this
A
is just mouse and keyboard.
mouse and keyboard? Is
Yeah.
that the only way you got your, or do you actually have a tablet or
Oh,
something
I
like
don't
that?
have a tablet. I wish I had a tablet, but I'd need a. If I did, I'd have to have a one with the screen, like what's it called, a Cintiq.
Yeah, Cintiq. Yeah, because I was thinking, I was looking at it. It's like, you know, if you had any kind of touch tablet or of any kind, you could just create a new layer and paint your way to your selection.
Oh yeah, I can do that now. It's just a little bit easier doing it like this. Because what happens when you do the well, what I find is that I go out of the boundaries anyways, and I have to go back and touch up everything, so it keeps me from doing that, and it saves a little bit of time. But with like a Cintiq, I would have a little bit more control with that, especially with like right here where I'm clicking all this stuff to get this curve. It's would be a lot easier, and it would take a fraction of a second rather than having to
You doing it in
do
spline curves?
what?
You doing it with the spline curves, the pen tool?
No, I'm doing it with the selection thing. I don't have enough control to do it with the
Oh,
yeah. I have to do it with the selection lasso.
oh, you are a champ. You know, it's how do you eat a soup? Well, here, yeah, take your fork and your chopsticks and go at it.
Oh, it's this is hardly the worst environment I've had to deal with. I've had it where when I first started learning to do any sort of digital artwork back in
Uh-huh.
like 2000s, the early 2000s, my
Uh-huh.
grandfather had a computer that was from like the early 90s, and I
Uh-huh.
had a version of like Photoshop, but it wasn't Photoshop. It was another Adobe product. And what would happen is that you would try to color, and the color would come out like I don't know, about 30 seconds to a minute later.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just had to learn how to just deal with it.
Oh my gosh, that is so old school.
So, your book is called Joe King. Why is it called Joe King? I wanted to ask you that since I've heard it, especially once you said it was a group book.
It's the name of the blue character.
Yeah, but it's isn't it a group book?
It is, and that's the joke, right? It's a group book with with only one title character in the title,
Ah,
and you know the world's greatest average hero is actually Joe. In the story, he's actually battling himself, but he doesn't know it until like in the rest of the story.
wait. What do you mean he's battling himself? Like,
He doesn't know that the enemy that he's actually battling is himself. It's in a it's a nice twist. Oop,
like
I'm giving away too much.
metaphorically, or
With that?
like
No, no,
metaphorically, or the Shadow Link type thing, or
I don't know. Like uh, one, his past self doesn't know that his future self is actually. He doesn't know that he's in conflict with himself. He's
so it's a temporal anomaly type thing.
it's sort of. It's more like I got to fix the problem, and the only way to do that is to go back in time and smack myself up, but without actually telling my past self that I am there and I am being a plague on him.
Yeah, sort of
So
like John Luke
that's where
Picard in
that's
that
where the
episode.
title leads up to Joe King versus the world's greatest average hero. It's him.
Ah, okay, okay. So it's versus. I saw it as the.
BS.
Okay. Now, what about the other characters? What are they like?
His wife is a doctor who's so good that she practices medicine blindfold. There's an engineer who dreams of becoming a chef one day, a culinary chef, but whenever he cooks for the crew, he sprinkles his foods, spices up his foods with lug nuts and machine oil. No one has the heart to tell him that his cooking sucks. There's
So he's kind of like Zoidberg from Futurama.
something like that. There's a receptionist who's supposed to be the communications expert. She's always on the phone. There's the captain who doesn't want to be the captain of this crew, but he has to. He has to, run his hours of so many hours to become to be a captain, so that way he can upgrade and become a captain of a leisure boat, like the Love Boat. So he doesn't want to jinx his good rating. So anytime there's actual decisions to be made, he disappears. And the intern always takes the job because no one else wants to be captain.
That's cool.
There's a security guard who, well, everybody gets past him. Overzealous security guard, but everybody always gets past him.
So is this like a ship of people that
Misfits.
can't get anything done?
What's that?
Are you echoing? Something's echoing.
No, I hear you okay.
But,
Unless somebody came into the chat. Let me see. No, it's just you and I.
do you have headset on?
Yeah.
Huh.
Give me a sec. Let me mute my...
Hello? Yeah, okay, that was you echoing.
Still echoing?
No, not now. Well, yeah, you
Okay.
are. Took a second.
I know where it's going on. It's picking up the background noise. Hold on. Okay. Excuse me.
Echo. No echo. Yep, no echo. That fixed it. Oh, no, it didn't.
Yeah, there's still background noise. Hold on a second. I'm going to mute and I'll be right back.
All right.
There we go.
Echo?
No,
Still
no echo.
slightly there, but it's fine.
Still, really? Okay, you know what? I'm just going to go and come right back in. Okay, how's that?
Let's see. It's still slightly there, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear it that time. It's like sort of kind of picking up sometime, but you have it in the background? Like how?
Oh, my daughter was leaving and she ruffles and moves stuff around and
Oh.
it's like, can you just not make noise? I'm trying to leave the house.
Yeah, I'm in a situation where I can't really stop other people from making noise, so it's like, shut up, please shut up, don't yell while I'm streaming or doing anything like that.
Come on, you and everybody else. I mean, I think the only person who has um, a private setting is EVS because he's in the basement.
And I have
Every,
a basement that I should be able to get into, but family problems. No, the only reason I care about that more than other thing is because my family situation is kind of messed up. So I don't really want to involve people in like having to hear my parents yell at each other and saying stupid shit. That's all.
oh my gosh, when I try to limit my live streaming when no one's around. It doesn't go well because people call, phone call, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I everyone calls for them. I just don't care like about it. It's like bill collectors and scam artists
Oh,
and that
oh,
bullshit.
you're basically saying life.
Yeah, it's no one for me, but like able to do it more generally because and get away with not having people screaming right now is because my mom's in rehab. She just had knee surgery. Uh, had to replace her knee or something like that. So they're off doing whatever at the rehab center. So all I have to deal with is the stupid dog.
You know, that dog is just happy to see you.
Nah, the dog's a jackass. I wouldn't
uh,
say that of like most dogs, but that dog is smart and like he purposely does stupid shit to piss you off. So it's like you shouldn't do that. It's like, yeah, but I'm gonna do that. I know I shouldn't do that, but I'm gonna do it anyways. It's like, why? Like he'll pull on his leash, knowing that you don't want him to do it, and he knows how to stay in line and all like that. But then he'll just keep on pulling it, even though it's causing him problems. But it's a rescue dog, so I don't know what's actually up with it, like why he acts the way he does.
well, it's probably reminiscing of his battles in the Pacific, during the pirate wars.
Possibly.
And, yeah, and when the boat went down, he had to swim at least what was 300-400 miles to the nearest shore, where he met native coconuts and a whole bunch of things. Survived there for a little while, staying away from the Komodo dragons until there was a boat that came by and he hitched a ride to the nearest land.
Avoiding
And when it
the
came up,
dinosaurs.
that's right, and then made it to Mexico, where he was part of the caravan that made its way to the border to the United States and snuck in while the humans were fighting.
Are you trying to say my dog's an illegal immigrant?
I'm trying to say he could be an alien.
Oh, that could be
I
true.
don't know about the illegal part.
So, what inspired you to do the blue alien thing? It
Oh,
looks
I
kind of like a
he
Yeti.
he was introduced as a side character in my 1996 comic book. No, 1998 comic book, and I just kept on using him more and more and more.
That reminds me of how that my how I used to roleplay. I'd introduce a character. I'd start roleplaying a character, and then it just eventually evolved into like a whole uh, cast of characters, and now it's like an entire universe.
I know, eh? You know, it's as soon as you hit that particular point, you know, as you're creating stuff, it just starts to flow, and it's crazy. It's sometimes you can't write it down on the page fast enough.
Yeah, so I take it you're a character first type person or a world first type person.
Uh, it just doesn't happen one way or the other. It just happens. I, I don't. There's no other way to express it.
Uh,
Uh, you know, um,
yeah, I find I
it
generally
just happens. It just happens. It's just like I start the story. Um, you know, the scene opens up. I create the character in that scene, and it builds out from there. It's just really weird. It just sometimes there's something humorous I think is funny. I write it down on a page, and I put that page away. And as I'm creating something else, I go, "Hey, wouldn't it be great if I took that piece there and that piece over there and that piece over here, and I combine them and put and shuffle them and just slip them into this thing here that I'm doing." It's like one huge jigsaw puzzle.
yeah, that's what ends up happening for me too. Once I get to a certain point, it's like, it'd be cool this if this happens, and you just keep on like building on to that and getting bigger and bigger, and then I'm like, what would be cool is if this reference to this and this reference to that. I'm like, I didn't plan for this to have all these like minor little references to things, but they're there now.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Say, and interesting thing is of all this, this experience. Oh, it comes back and it comes to the how do you say now the book, the stuff that I created, in the background at home in my head. Now that it's locked in, so to speak, and it's on the page, and people have seen it. There's no way to go back and modify it anymore. Once that book is out, it's done.
Says
Yeah,
what?
you really can't pull a George Lucas the way he did unless you actually go back and say, you know what, how am I going to convince my audience, to buy the book again because I decided to change a comma, or add an extra thing in the background on this panel. It's like, that's insane.
Do you know what web novels and light novels are?
What's that?
Do you know what web novels are?
No, actually, I've never heard of the term.
Well, light novels or web novels, however you want to call them, are pretty much you create a story and you write it. A lot of people do it daily. In Japan, it's usually like daily, but uh, pretty much you just put out a chapter at a time, and it's usually done online. And as it grows, you just sort of figure out the story as it goes. Uh, it's kind of like a monthly comic in that regard, where there is no real end for a lot of these. They just like, oh, I have this premise, this idea, and we'll just see where it goes. Uh, well, what ends up happening, at least in Japan, is that people go back over it and they take the chapters that they put out and they re-edit it and republish it. So you have the web novel, the web chapters, and then you have the edited published book. And there's like differences in them a lot of times, and some of them clash heavily, but and some of them like just stick to what they have. So it is kind of like you can do that with certain formats.
Oh, that's interesting because the last something similar like that happened a while ago. I'm not sure where it was. I think it was on Reddit, and it was about Marines versus Roman soldiers. And let me find what that was called. It happened on a public forum. Marines versus soldiers. Rome, Sweet Rome is what it's called. And where did it happen? It happened on Reddit. Could I destroy the entire Roman Empire during the reign? Let's see, during the reign of Augustus, if I travel back in time with modern U.S. Marine Infantry Battalion, or MEU. And then he built out an entire story, okay? And it's really exciting. I mean, gosh darn, the way this guy just, wrote it out. It's like 7 years ago, by the way. It was really exciting. But here's the thing. He was adjusting his story as the crowd was reading it, and the crowd was suggesting, hey, this is what you have to do because of this, and this is what you have to do because of that. And, they were all throwing their suggestions, and he was taking these suggestions and incorporating them into the story. And then when a big movie studio came by and said, hey, we like what you got there, and we'd like to buy this concept and make it into a movie. Well, it hasn't been made into a movie yet. And the reason why is that, see, the problem is if you create something in a crowd situation on the internet, you automatically lose ownership.
To a certain degree, yeah.
No, it's not a degree. It's not something gray. It's black and white. You lose ownership of the product because it was created by the crowd. It wasn't created by you. Right? That's a big problem in terms of ownership, copyright, and trademarks. It's a deal breaker.
Yeah, there's it's not like it's not a gray area, but it's not a black and white thing. It's because the certain parts you don't own, and anything that you don't own, they can go, well, I own that, and they can take that. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, but see, here's where here's where that problem persists. Any big studio would wash their hands of it and say, well, if there's a gray, even if there's a hint that you don't own the product that you say that you own 100%, they're not going to take a risk on it at all.
Yeah, that's the.
They're going to be spending millions of dollars, creating something, and then all of a sudden somebody at the end is going to come in and say, that thing that you just did, well, I happen to be part owner of it. Or, us, and then you kind of say, these several hundred people are all part owners of it. So it's like instead of the movie studio trying to say making a profit of $100 million, and they keep all that money. It's like, oh shit, now they have to share it with 1,000 people.
Or you gotta litigate it. Either way, it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. It's a oops.
But yeah, that's a problem that game companies had to deal with, and that's why like if you've ever played an MMO, people have tons of ideas, and they try to give ideas to the game developers, and they're like, no, we can't take any of your suggestions.
Yeah, totally.
Only a few game companies have actually done the opposite.
Well, if they took suggestions, then they definitely had. I'm pretty sure they had some sort of documentation where they say, okay, we'll take your idea, we'll pay you X number of dollars, and you do not have any ownership in it at all afterwards.
Uh,
We'll say thank you,
yeah, the
and
one
here's some
company that
cash.
I know of that did it is City of Heroes, and what they did is they had a suggestion forum, and they'd take an idea if it was popular or whatever, but they'd also say like by contributing to this suggestion forum, then you give up all ownership to this idea or whatever like that. Like they had explicitly stated in there.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome.
It's
You play ball and everything works.
like honestly, I think a lot of companies would be better if they did take the suggestions, but at the same time, I understand where they're coming from. So it's like, I want something to be better, but there's too many
Well,
problems.
you could do it by getting the people to address your product, and it could be anything. It could be an idea, a game idea, a story, art, a figurine, whatever. By privately, you know, communicating and saying, what, can you help me out? I need your advice, and are you, do you want to give it for free, or would you like me to compensate for your advice? If they say, don't worry about it, I'll give you my thoughts, or they say, yeah, I've been, my freezer is a little dry in the ice cubes. Can you spare some? And you say, okay, great. So you hand him over some ice cubes. He gives you his thoughts. Done. Or, here's $20. Can you give me some thoughts on this story? And say, all right, fine. There's the transaction. It's done.
Yeah, you'd hope it would be that simple, but that's
Oh,
not how people like to work.
sometimes it is that simple. I mean, quite literally. I mean, think about it. The Simpsons were created on a napkin, as the story goes.
Yeah, but there's a like if you do everything with just spoken contracts type stuff, then there's no record of it, and people can just come back and be like, no, I didn't say that. That's the problem with that. But a lot of times that isn't a problem with the bigger stuff, because it's recorded somewhere.
Uh huh.
What did I just do? I have no idea how I got that selection to be like that.
Excuse me. Oh, it's almost 3 o'clock. I have to skedaddle. I'll try to drop by. Um, I already hit like on your thing, and I have to retweet. I'm getting used to all this stuff now. I haven't been this active on social media.
Yeah, I don't like Twitter, and I use it just because it's sort of a way to get things out there, but I would prefer not to be on it, but whatever. And I
Oh,
don't like liking things, but like if I don't like things, then it makes me feel like I'm being a douchebag, but
that's good. Make yourself available. Gosh darn it, slacker.
but yeah, I do this. I'm trying to do this every day, like 1 or 2 hours of streaming.
Well,
And
that's the spirit. You'll just a little every day. Not too much. Just a smidgen.
yeah, and right now I'm leaving it open to anyone that wants to come in, and is free to come in, talk, whatever.
All right. All right. I'll be hanging out shortly. I'll talk to you later.
All right, peace. And I am alone again. And it's taking me a long ass time to select everything for this. Luckily, once I get most of this done, it should be pretty simple once I get it. Okay, there's a hole there. That's selected. I think I need to deselect anywhere. Nope, that's perfect. Now I just have to deselect some few things. And the other one was up here. Is the chat broken today? Let me check. Nope, just no one respond. It's been in there. Okay. Is the chat broken today? Let me check. Okay, someone's here. I heard echoes. Just no one respond. It's been in there. Okay. Or is that my broken video? Today? Let me check. Okay, someone's here. Yep, my video. Let's see. I'm gonna go with, I think her color is right about here. Or is it more red? I think it's more red. That seems to be a route right for Dawn Craven. Now it's now to select Lady Alchemy. I think I'm gonna have to restart my computer because this is slow, and I'm pretty sure it's a RAM issue. At least sorta. At least a little bit. And by restarting my computer, I mean a little bit later, not right now. Because I don't turn off my computer all that often. So, usually just let it stay on until it needs to be rebooted for some reason or another. That's the best thing to do if you're on the computer a lot. Even when you go to sleep or whatever. Because then you're not warming up and cooling down the system as much, which means there's less wear and tear. So, first thing is wait. So, this way. I'm gonna put that on a secondary layer. Wait. Need to put that on a same layer. Next we're gonna go here. Go 50%. Select, deselect. There. See her better. I know I've made a few errors somewhere around here. Where is the flaws? Oh, I can't see them now. Oh, I can see one. Somewhere on here. I made a mistake. It was apparent when it was pinkish, but it was not. It's fine right there. That's fine right there. That's all. Oh, that's what the problem was with that. Ah, I'm stupid. Deselect. Maybe it's in the legs. Maybe I did something there. Hate spotting something. Yeah, Kanan said it was a warm-up sketch. but he inked it, so I wonder. It looks really good though. Let's see. How are you doing, Riot? So that's all. Okay, so I'm going to separate those two out from each other. I'm gonna take this and select. Okay, red. There we go. Select, deselect. Now I think that comes up all the way up here. That looks like it, so... But her skin is reddish. So it should be about there. From the what I remember of the reference. That looks like where the line is. So that should be there. Well, I messed up on that selection, but okay. Let's see. Line comes through there. Okay, I think that's skin too, so... Probably not going to get this all done on stream, unfortunately, but... Because I'm going to probably be wrapping it up in about 10-20 minutes. But it will be done by tomorrow morning, like usual. I don't know, I was thinking about asking Ken to give me the full, higher res version, but I was like, nah, I don't want to bother him. And there's a possibility that he's got someone already coloring it. That guy's probably better than me, so not really a huge deal. say let's do this. Okay, let's see. Not bad, but too pale there. Maybe. That's better. So, let's see. Let's go with the hair, I guess, next. I believe it's somewhere in this range. Looks like I didn't deselect in some areas, so I gotta fix that. Oh well. darker still. Oops. Select, deselect. Yeah, that'll work. Let's go in here. Select, select. Okay. Delete. Delete. Select. Deselect. Yep, that looks about right. Not sure if that's skin or not, so can't color that until I look. Her skin is more yellowish. We'll go with that. See, there was a mistake somewhere in here. Right there. It's not for that. Oh yeah, I wanna. Yeah. There. Later. Like down, maybe? That's where. probably yellow too. Let's switch back to this one and figure out that real quick. There. Okay, I'm gonna call it quits here for today, guys. Bye.